So we've got Scott Yonally N8SY with us from ARRL Great Lakes Division. And welcome, Scott. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And with that, I'll turn it over to you and take it away with your presentation.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for being here. First off, especially with the the miserable weather we've got going out there. So, I hope everybody's got their seatbelts fastened, and let's move right into the program. All right. Do you know what remarkable event happened on April 3rd? This is open for anybody, guys.
I think Bruce gave it away earlier.
Well, no, not necessarily.
No?
Okay. Anybody got anything? Any ideas? I mean, obviously, my
April
mind
3rd
is not.
hasn't happened yet, at least not this year.
Without a year, you don't have any context.
Oh, okay. Well, not quite. Let me give you a couple of hints. First, let me give you the what it isn't. It's not the first Pony Express service. It began on April 3rd in 1860, but that's not quite what I was thinking either. So, anybody else got anything?
Maybe a tornado?
Tornado super outbreak.
Well, that wasn't quite the remarkable event that I was thinking either.
Formation of the ARRL?
No, not that. That happened in March, actually.
The first message that was transmitted across the country.
No, it wasn't that either. Now, let me give you another hint. It was not
Your birthday.
No, it was not when Jesse James got shot in the back by Bob Ford, by one of his gang members. He reportedly did that for a $10,000 reward, but that's not quite it either. Anybody got any ideas yet? Nothing. Okay. Well, all of you down there should be ashamed of yourselves. April 3rd of 1924 was Doris Day when she was born in Cincinnati, guys. It's 100 years ago. Come on. And we all know Doris Day, right? All of us know Doris Day and all the movies she made and the songs she sang and all that. Hey, what a great event that was. Boy, this is a quiet group. Yes, gang, you're right. It'll also be the 50th anniversary of the Xenia tornadoes. It did happen. It was a huge event. The tornado outbreak of April 3rd and 4th in 1974 resulted in 148 tornadoes in 13 states. And until 2011, it was considered the largest outbreak of tornadoes in U.S. history. Across the United States, there were 315 people killed. There was more than 6,000 injured, and 27,000 families suffered property losses. And there was more than 1 billion, and that's with a B, in property damage, and that's back in 1974. There were actually 7 EF5 tornadoes and 23 EF4 tornadoes reported. The Xenia tornado caused most of the deaths in the outbreak, and we had 12 tornadoes actually touch down and it killed 36. The Xenia tornado was one of the worst here in Ohio. It is actually the worst one that we've ever recorded here in Ohio. And it touched down at 4:30 p.m., 9 miles southwest of Xenia, and entered the city about 10 minutes later. It continued northeastward on a path of 32 miles through Xenia and Wilberforce into Clark County. Okay, there were only actually a handful of amateurs at that time that were involved with health and welfare messages coming in or going out of Xenia, I should say. And we had approximately 2,000 man hours of time spent sending messages. Now, I was in Xenia about 3 hours after the tornado. I got there just about 7:30 in the evening. It was a warm April day, and I was with Red Cross. I was a volunteer at the time with Red Cross. I spent 3 weeks there. making coffee and getting donuts out to the volunteers and so on. And part of what I did there got me interested in ham radio a lot. So that's one of the big things that we do. We send and relay messages. In fact, if you look at the name of the ARRL, it's the American Radio Relay League. We were actually formed in 1914, and our purpose for forming was to relay messages across the country, do it faster, do it better, and do it free, which is something that the Western Union guys didn't like. All right, let's switch gears just a little bit. And do you know the 5 largest states for ham population in the United States? Take a guess.
Ohio and California, I think.
Okay, that's
Florida, I think, would be pretty high too.
Florida and New York.
all right. Yeah.
At least my antenna seems to only pick up Florida.
All right. Well, let's start down
Got to
with
at least guess Texas.
Texas. Yeah, you might be right. All right. First on the list is California with 96,734. Second is Texas with 53,668. Florida comes in next, believe it or not, with 42,843. Then we come with the state of Washington with 33,713. And finally, bringing up the bottom end of it is Ohio. And we have just about 28,000 amateurs in Ohio. These 5 states make up 34% of all the licensed amateurs in the United States. So a whole third of the ham population is within those 5 states alone. Pretty remarkable, wouldn't you say? Okay, now, within the Great Lakes Division, we're the 6th largest division of the 15 divisions with almost 12,000 members. Ohio is actually the largest ARRL section in the country, and it has about 5,600 ARRL members. That's more than 2 full divisions. Pretty remarkable in itself. Okay, now with affiliated clubs, we have about 2,800 affiliated clubs around the country, of which Okayan is one of them. So, and that's great. Ohio does lead the nation with 125 affiliated clubs, and there are 112 active special service clubs in around the country, and Ohio has 17. That's 15% of all the special services clubs in the country that are right here in Ohio alone. And belonging to a club is probably the most important thing that you can do in your ham career. Many clubs not only get you licensed, but they also give you a sense of belonging to a fraternity, giving you somewhere to go and get help and somewhere to have fun. Now, moving right along, the ARRL Foundation, along with the college foundations and the club grants, this last year, the ARRL Foundation gave out more than $1 million in scholarships. Right now, currently, we are working on the scholarships and talking with students. I'm part of the ARRL Foundation as a volunteer, and I will tell you, we had 400 applicants this year. Of that, there were 228 that we actually got through the first round of interviews. We are down now to about 125 that we're looking at for roughly 103 different scholarships. So it is very competitive. I will say the group of kids coming through today is just absolutely remarkable. In 2023, the club grant program gave out almost $300,000 this past fall to 85 recipients. The ARDC, or the Amateur Radio Digital Communication guys, were kind enough to donate more money this next year to make sure that we have additional funding to continue this program for many years to come. They also gave us almost $3 million for the scholarship funds too. So between the club grants and scholarships, we're pretty well set for a while for that. So I'm really tickled with that. Our student associate membership, we made in January free. This is for kids 21 years or younger, and they can get a free membership. It's a associate membership, but it gives them access to everything that a regular member has, with one exception, and that is they cannot vote, but that's all. So with that, hey, there's a lot of information I just gave you all of you. So now it's time for you to come up with some questions for me. So let's have your questions. What's on your mind?
So with the big success of Volunteers on the Air this year, any clue on what the next big activity is going to be?
I'm not at liberty to tell you at this point what they're talking about. It is we do have a couple of things in mind that will be that we are working on. I just met with the Programs and Services Committee last night, and they were discussing several activities that are possibilities, but they still need a little bit of time to work out all the kinks. So yeah, there is something else in the works out there that we're looking at right now.
And can you at least give us a clue? I'm assuming it's going to be something for next year.
Yeah, it would be for next year. Hopefully, and this kind of is whether or not how things will pan out for sure, but it'll probably start in January if the one program I'm thinking about, if the one program does get kicked off, it'll be starting in January and work through very similarly to the way Volunteers on the Air worked, which by the way was very successful. It was a lot of fun. We had one red badge day that we had, which all of the red badges throughout the country got on the air. And then here in the Great Lakes Division, we had a whole weekend of doing nothing but getting on the air for a weekend. So that became pretty interesting as well. And then at the end, between Christmas and New Year's, we had that full week. And that was also a big push for all badges, not just the red badges, but all badges to get on the air. So, and there's some other things coming along that will be really a lot of fun, just like that was.
Scott,
Yes.
I believe I'm correct in that years gone by, the income from the sales of publications does not go in the same place that the membership dues do. If I'm accurate, is that still true?
Yes, that's very true. The sales of the magazines and books, it does help defray some of the costs, but it's not something that is fully, it doesn't fully defray all the costs. No. Any other questions? Wow, this is a quiet group. I got to be honest with you. I'm really surprised. Oh,
Yeah, well, we didn't let the troublemakers in tonight, I guess.
didn't let the troublemakers in. Okay.
Any other questions for Scott?
Yeah.
Yeah, the troublemakers are at the church wondering where we are.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's true.
Kitty, I'm sure you've got something. Come on.
I have nothing. I am weather brain dead.
Weather brain dead. Okay. Well, I could bring up my weather station and we could talk about that as well. Oh, I
All
did
right.
notice that we've got quite a bit of rain just as this meeting has been going on. So, and I've gotten 4 different weather alerts from NOAA Weather Radar, the NOAA Weather system coming through. So, but I know this is an ugly night for all this because, so and I want to thank everybody for their patience and as well as having a Zoom meeting. I have actually been battling a cold for the last 3 weeks, and I am pretty much over it, but every once in a while I catch myself coughing like crazy. So, and I don't want to hand that off to anyone else. That it's been miserable. So, I do appreciate the Zoom meetings just so I can separate out. So nobody can catch it from Zoom. So I guess that's a good thing.
Scott, this is Drew, KE8 JTL.
Yes, Drew.
Maybe you could just tell us a little bit about like your responsibilities, what you do on a, yeah, probably not a day-by-day basis, but just maybe some of the highlights of some of the things that you do
Well,
for the group.
Sure. The very first thing I do every day is I answer about 50 to 75 emails every day. And and it's good. That's a good thing. There's all kinds of questions that come flying in from all over, and not necessarily just from the Great Lakes Division. Sometimes it's from outside the Great Lakes Division as well. I am the chairman of the, and I'm going to give you the alphabet first. It's called the ECFSC. It's the alphabet soup that was created a couple of years ago. It's the Emergency Communications and Field Services Committee, and we are the newest of all of the standing committees, and we are in charge of all of ARES and all of the rest of field services, which includes the NTS clubs, the whole thing. So the program that I just talked about with the free student memberships that came from our committee, and a number of other activities like that came from our committee. Why do you think there are so many hams per capita in Ohio? Well, that's a good question, and I'll just say it this way. One of the big reasons I was told many, many years ago why that is simply because of the technology that's here in Ohio. We have been known for many, many years around the world as being a technological leader with not only telephone industry, but cellular industry, as well as all the other industries. And now with the new Intel plant being built just a few miles down the road from me, quite frankly, it'll even get more that way, more like Silicon Valley here in Ohio. So we do have a lot of great technology. If you didn't know, one of the things that was invented here in Ohio at the University of Akron was the liquid quartz crystal. That was actually invented in Akron at Akron U. So it shows you the technology and the leadership and technology that we have here in Ohio. But some of the other things I do, being in charge of a big standing committee that is, of course, I have subcommittee meetings throughout the week. In fact, I had one Monday. I had a public service programs and services committee meeting last night. I will be having I'm also on the Ethics and Elections Committee, so we'll be having a meeting tomorrow night. And I've got 2 more subcommittee meetings on Thursday and Friday. And then over the weekend, I have some other activities that I need to do. And of course, going to Hamfest is a big part of what I do as a director. I make sure, or try to make sure, I get to every Hamfest that I can. I will be down in your area in, August. But the next Hamfest I've got, the next meeting actually that I've got is next Tuesday up in Michigan. So I'll be up in Michigan on Tuesday right after the eclipse. And where I live here in the Mansfield area, we're in the zone. So we're expecting a good 100,000 people in addition to the 120,000 that normally live here in the county. So, and I am also a part of our EMA here in Richland County. I sit on the LEPC board, so I'm pretty active, I guess you would say. So, any other questions?
What do you do in your spare time?
Oh, well, in my spare time, I fish. I love to fish. I don't get enough time to do that. But we love to fish, and of course I love to hunt, and I have gone out hunting, and that. So in recent times here, I got to go out and go deer hunting last fall, and that was a lot of fun. I hadn't done that in years, so um, no, I did not get a deer. I sat in the woods for a week and didn't get a deer.
You get enough time on your own to play radio?
A little bit. I'll be honest. I get Bruce, as you're probably aware, I'm on the Ohio single sideband net almost every day. But the only time I really get on is in the morning. I don't have a whole lot of time in the afternoon or evening because it's devoted to meetings and that kind of stuff. So, but I do get on the nets. I do handle traffic. I am a traffic handler, and I enjoy doing that. I've been doing that for, oh golly, almost 50 years. So it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy doing traffic handling. So, any other things?
Kevin, W8SM.
Yes, Kevin.
So, some number of the folks in the club here are also part of the Aries groups, and I think we're all familiar with Aries. The other concept that's working in parallel to that is the Oxcom concept that is more, I would say, jurisdictionally oriented. And I think, if you do some research, sort of state by state, it's different. How do you see the Oxcom concept going over the next, say, 5 years in the state of Ohio?
Well, quite frankly, nationally, we are looking at, we already are in partnership with Oxcom as part of the SafeCom group that we are a part of now. And so it's kind of interesting that you bring that up. So it will be a part of ARRS, and ARRS will be a part of it. Yes, they're two separate entities and always will be, because Oxcom is a training program where ARRS is an actual implementation type program where you take all that training and you implement it, and you actually go out in the field and do things with it. I know some of the groups have tried to make their Oxcom group similar to ARRS, but they are not. In reality, they are not. They are different as night and day as far as what their intents really are. I know in Ohio, we also have some RACES programs. I'm also a RACES officer here in Richland County. And quite frankly, I see RACES as a dying breed. It will be probably, I would say, within the next 5 to 10 years, RACES will actually be written out of Part 97 altogether, just due to the fact that it's no longer needed because of Oxcom, because of SafeCom, because of the interoperability that we have now with utilizing DMR and D-Star and those programs that we have out there, and like and similar programs all around the country. Quite frankly, I see RACES as being something in the history books. So,
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Scott, have you ever used a fishing pole for an antenna?
Have I ever used a fishing pole for an antenna? No, but I can tell you right now, I have used a clothesline, and I've used a chain link fence. In fact, I made quite a few 160 contacts off of a chain link fence. That was way back when we were doing a real field day where we went out in the field and literally we lost our home for our field day one year. And so we had to scramble to find a place. And of course, we'd never been there before. And it was at a school, which was great because we could go up into the stands and put our antennas way high up. But when it came to 160, we just didn't have enough room to go from point to point to put up some sort of a dipole for 160. So we're sitting there looking at this. And of course, around the football field is an 880 track. and it had chain link fence all the way around it. So guess what we did? We put an antenna tuner on that chain link fence, and we operated 160 off the chain link fence. It worked. I will tell you, it was a lot of fun. We enjoyed it. We had a blast. It tuned on 80, but not quite as well. I found it funny that it would tune on 160 without much trouble at all. And we could get about 100 watts off that chain link fence.
Hey, thank you for that. That's a great story. Some inspiration for our new field day, huh?
Well,
Yeah, I was just looking to see where there's a fence over there at this site.
It also goes to show, you guys were talking about, losing your field day site. That's pretty common, actually. In fact, my home club right now, we are being challenged. The normal area that we set up in is in a place there in Mount Vernon. It's called Apple Valley. It's a I don't want to say a gated community because it isn't gated, but it's one of those communities that was built around a man-made lake and this kind of thing. And we had always had this field behind one of the rec centers there. And it was great because there's just enough trees and there's just space far enough that you can shoot an antenna up into them and just have a blast. And they even provided a tent for us. Well, this last year, because pickleball, believe it or not, has become such a popular sport, they decided to build 9 pickleball courts, 3x3, in that area where we were operating our field day. So now we're scrambling now to try to figure out how are we going to fit in with these pickleball courts there and so on. So it's been a challenge. But see, that's what field day is really all about, is coming up with ways of making it work, even though you've got all these challenges. Because truthfully, if it really does hit, you're never going to know where you're going to be able to operate. So it's going to be one of those where, wherever you got room is where you got room, and that's where you'll have to operate. So you'll have to figure out, how do I make it work? So, and there's all kinds of challenges no matter where you go. So hopefully field day, hopefully I made the Southern run last year, and hopefully I'll be able to touch a little bit down in your area this year. I make no promises because I never know. Basically what I do is I take a dart and I literally throw it at the dartboard, and I throw about 5 different darts, and whichever way they go is the path that I take for field day. Last year, I traveled just about 900 miles, and I visited 14 field day sites. So
well, remember, even though we're at a different site, we're still planning on having our midnight stakeout. So
great. Yeah.
We'll be there, steaks, midnight.
Okay.
I don't think we're gonna have a bonfire though. I don't know if we can have that, but we will have steaks. We will be cooking.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now I will tell you the most unusual field day meal I've had. I went to one site one year. Way my visit usually goes is I'm kind of in and out. I will go and take a whole bunch of pictures, and then to try to get to as many as I can. I can't stay long, and so I'm in and out fairly quickly. Well, one year, I stopped at one site, and the guys had this huge 55-gallon fish tank, and I'm looking at that thinking, why do they have a fish tank at field day?
Lobsters?
Believe it or not, it was full of lobster, fresh lobster. And of course, they had the big kettle going and the whole thing. And I had to have lobster. They wouldn't let me go. They said, you got to pick out. And the crazy part is, this is always kind of the creepy part. Of course, you go over to the tank and you pick, okay, that's the guy I want, and they pull him out of the tank and throw him in, and away he goes. And the next thing you know is you're sitting there eating lobster. I've only done that once, but I will tell you the one thing I have found in the 20 some years I've been doing this, as crazy as it sounds, I have never come across a field day site yet that didn't have the best food. Hams eat well. There is no doubt about it. They eat well. They may not do a whole lot of operating sometimes, but they eat well. And they're always, always, always inviting, and whoever shows up is always invited to share in the meal and so on. So no matter what they're having. So I've had roast pork to like I said, lobster to steaks to you name it. You can pretty much go down the trail and get anything you want. So it's a real delight. Yeah, I mean, it's a smorgasbord and a half, so it's a lot of fun. Um, let's see. Of course, we do have Winter Field Day coming up in the winter. One thing I did want to mention that we do have coming up, and it's coming up very quickly, and that's World Amateur Radio Day on April 18th. So I know that you guys were planning to do NVIS, but from home, you can do World Amateur Radio Day from home, and it's a lot of fun to do. Everybody around the world gets on, and it's really enjoyable. So it's another one of those really kind of cool programs that you can do.
Scott,
Yes, Kitty.
could you just talk a little bit about how people might make contacts during World Amateur Radio Day? Is it what modes are being used? What bands?
Well,
Is the idea just to chat? Kind of, how does that work?
yeah. Basically, it's most of it's all of the regular bands, none of the Warak bands, but it's the regular bands that we use. CW, Voice, I believe they're allowing digital this year, if I remember right, as well. So the digital stuff, PSK 31 and FT8 and FT4, those are all, from what I know right now, are available to use and are acceptable to use. It's basically just to make contact and say hello to your fellow amateur. Is what amateur, World Amateur Radio Day is all about. So it's one of those really kind of cool things that we have that we can share amongst the whole world with. So it's just basically for the fellowship of it. Anybody else have anything else?
Yeah, I'm looking at the websites right now. Yeah, it looks like that's just basically getting on the air and celebrating radio. It doesn't seem to be a very much
It's
particular
really
bands
not a
or modes.
contest to speak of, but it is
Right.
something to get on. It was sort of like VOTA. Not so much as it wasn't really promoted as a contest as much as it was just to get on the air, get radioactive. I like using that phrase.
But, that's one of those things that POTA did, was it definitely lit the bands up. I mean, I do a lot of the POTA stuff, and that's so much fun. And there always seems to be somebody out there to talk
Yes.
to.
Oh, absolutely. And you're right. It is a lot of fun. It's very, very enjoyable. I will be on for a little bit anyway. We'll get on and we'll play a little bit of radio here and see where we go from there. So, but yeah, we got that coming up, and then let's see. Of course, Dayton. Let's not forget Hamvention. The Great Lakes Division will have a booth within. It'll be inside of the ARRL big booth that they have, or the big area there. We will be in combination with the ARES and Field Services, and then the Great Lakes Division will be right beside that. So we'll all be in one big area right there. So it'll be a lot of fun. So come visit us. Bring your QSL card, guys and gals. Bring your QSL cards. We'll post them on our big poster board, and that way we can show off your QSL cards and that kind of stuff. So please don't forget to bring your QSL cards. If you don't have a QSL card, if you got a business card, bring it. We'll post it as well. So,
All right. Anything else for Scott?
Okay, it doesn't sound like it. So, hey, thank you all for your attention. I do appreciate it, and
Thank you.
hopefully we will be able to come down and see all of you live and, and not have to do Zoom. So, hopefully we'll be able to catch you down there, not too far from the future. So, we're trying to get around to as many clubs as we can. So,
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us tonight, Scott.
okay, well, thank you for having me. I do appreciate it.